How's it going, folks? Today we're talking about Gavin Newsom again, but this time we're talking about something Gavin Newsom actually did instead of some bullshit that I thought was funny. Gavin Newsom signs law banning new Glock sales in California. So Californians can no longer, or I think it starts at the beginning of next year. I think it's January 1st. I think I read that somewhere. Either way, you're not going to be able to buy a Glock in California. Glocks are among the most popular handguns sold in California. Even former Vice President Kamala Harris owns one. But Californians will no longer be able to buy a new Glock in the state. So, gun control, it's a big issue, right? Obviously. A lot of people on the left are all for gun control. All these, different rules and shit for what guns you can and can't have. They say all kinds of bullshit about what was intended by the Second Amendment and things like that. Gavin Newsom signed a bill that bans the sale of new Glocks in California. So here's what this says. At issue, the new Glock design allows the gun to be easily modified with a Lego-sized piece of plastic known as a Glock switch that can be 3D printed to turn it into a fully automatic weapon. Glock switches are already illegal, but Democratic lawmakers in California went one step further by passing a bill along party lines that outlaws the sale of any new gun with a Glock-like design. The new law does not ban possession of Glocks, nor does it ban reselling used Glocks in California. So, Southern California Assembly member Jesse Gabriel said he hopes this legislation forces Glock to change so switches no longer work. Quote, they have known about this design flaw for a long time. So that's the issue. They're talking about Glock switches, right? It's something that if you've heard a rap song, you've heard about. This sort of thing isn't new. I know there was a rifle, either an AK or an AR, that you can make a device out of, I don't know if it actually works, but they say you can make one out of a hairpin to turn it into a fully automatic weapon. There are lots of things you can do to convert weapons into fully automatic. So Gavin Newsom is doing this to try to get machine guns off the streets, because Glock with a switch is a machine gun. All guns are machines, dumbass. But I think that this is stupid, personally. And even without getting into the idea of whether or not this is constitutional, I guess I'll get into that a little bit later. But even before we get into that, people who put switches in their Glocks are already breaking the law. And there's so many regulations about carrying a gun in California that if you have a gun in California, there's a non-zero chance you're breaking a law without even knowing about it because of all the gun regulations they have. So the people who they're banning the sale of new Glocks because of this, but the thing is that none of these people that are getting their hands on these Glocks and they're putting switches in them to be fully automatic because they're criminals and they need a machine gun Glock, right? None of them are buying them new. Like, they're not super cheap. You know what I mean? These weapons are already used. A lot of times, I would even assume they're already hot. You're not going out and buying a brand new Glock, putting a switch in it, and then doing anything with it, especially since to buy a Glock in the first place, or any gun, especially in California, but when you're buying a new one from a dealer, there's paperwork that has to be done to make that gun traceable to you. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a dumb ruling. It seems like all this ruling is doing, and it might not be by design. The reality is, I could believe that Gavin Newsom's so fucking stupid, he thinks that this bill is going to lower crime. But the reality is, all it's doing is stopping people who want to protect themselves, who want to buy a gun to protect themselves, or for sport, or whatever reason, right? But hardworking American citizens, all it's doing is stopping them from being able to buy this gun in their home state, right? Now, you can go one state over and you can buy one, no fucking problem, right? But not in California now. You can't. And really, it is ridiculous. There's been lots of gun laws, regulations, things being talked about, and a lot of these things really add up to, you cannot get rid of all gun violence unless you go door to door and take every single gun from every single person. That is a violation of the Constitution. You cannot do that in America. That's the only way to get rid of all gun violence. But even at that point, it's really fucking easy to hide a gun from somebody going door to door, getting all of the guns and ammo. And you could easily hide one, keep it, if you're a criminal. Cracking down really hard on gun ownership only hurts the private citizens who want to defend themselves, or who are gun collectors, or who shoot for sport, for fun. Whatever it is, those are the only people it hurts, is law-abiding citizens. These people who are not law-abiding citizens don't give a fuck what law you passed, right? Shit, I can't rob this guy because it's illegal to have a gun. That's not something anybody ever fucking thinks. Nobody cares if it's illegal to own the gun if they're gonna commit a crime with it anyway. So this whole thing seems to me like it's just pointless. It doesn't make any sense. So right here it says California is the third largest U.S. market for gun sales, which I did not know, and I also think that's very interesting. Gun store owner Eddie Ford explained that unlike some other handguns, Glocks are designed to be customizable. He noted that the design of the Glock has remained the same due to its ultra reliability, and that is like the big part of this, right? Gavin Newsom says that now you can't buy guns that are a Glock style gun, which I haven't read the bill, but I would assume because it's a Democratic lawmaker, and a lot of times these lawmakers who are pushing for gun control truly do not understand how guns work. He doesn't actually know what that means. It's super vague. What's a fucking Glock style gun, right? It's really vague. I understand that they do outline what a Glock style gun is, but whatever. The ultra reliability, that's the thing. So when you're making a gun, it's really important for the gun to be reliable. And if you make something that's reliable, you want to stick to that form factor. You know what I mean? A lot of people like Glocks because they're known to be reliable. So they're like, oh, you've got to change your design. That's what it said earlier. It said, where did it say? Yeah, Jesse Gabriel said he hopes this legislation forces Glock to change its design so that switches no longer work. Now, another part that I think is really interesting, more than interesting, I think it's funny, right? Newer models of Glocks do have an added piece that is intended to block the Glock switch, but California's Attorney General hasn't approved that model for sale. So that means that they're banning the sale of new Glocks when the newest model of Glock has something in place to prevent this, but they haven't approved it for sale yet. A big question I would have is if this new model counts as a Glock style gun. Now that might be what they mean when they say California's Attorney General hasn't approved it yet, that new model might be approved. Ford acknowledged realistically someone could easily file that piece off in about a minute. Sure, yeah, you can do a lot of things to guns to tamper with them. They're illegal. And again, I want to reiterate, law-abiding citizens don't alter their guns to turn them into machine guns, right? That's not how that works. I think it's ridiculous. I think the whole conversation is ridiculous around this as far as whether or not it would be effective. It seems obvious to me that it would be entirely ineffective. But Gavin Newsom doesn't think so, and you know what? He's going to be our next president. So, yay, no more Second Amendment. Because it does lead itself into a larger conversation about whether or not this is constitutional. Personally, I don't think it's constitutional. People have brought up a lot, said things like, the Second Amendment's for hunting, for sport, for these things. Why do you need a fully automatic weapon? You know what I mean? And it was a meme I saw, or maybe just some dumb quote, right? It goes, the Founding Fathers didn't just get done with a hunting trip when they wrote the Second Amendment. They got done fighting a war, right? The point of the Second Amendment, agree with it or not, it's in the fucking Constitution. The point of it is so that the American people can have the means to have a well-armed militia, to have weapons, right? To have military-grade weapons, so that if the government ever becomes tyrannical, they can be easily overthrown by the people. That is the point of the Second Amendment. Plain and simple. It's a fail-safe for when the rest of the Constitution gets infringed upon. And this, I mean, I don't think Glocks win wars, right? But it's not just about like any specific gun. It's about the idea of gun control in general is unconstitutional. If you want to do something about gun violence, there's lots of things you can do about gun violence, right? And unfortunately, no matter what you do, you're always going to have violence, period. So whether it's guns, whether it's knives, whether it's fucking hammers, there's always going to be people killing other people. No matter how much you try to restrict every little fucking thing, people are not going to listen. If every single person had a gun and was trained to use it and had it on them at all times, the country would be a lot safer, because nobody would ever want to pull out their gun and use it unless they were defending themselves, because they would get fucking killed. Like, you can't just pull out your gun. It's like those videos, you might have seen them, about people trying to rob like a convenience store, and then everybody in the convenience store has a gun, and look at that, nobody got hurt and nothing got stolen, right? But you know, that's sort of neither here nor there. I see a lot of arguments about people saying that we should have more gun control, and I understand that they're coming from a good place, that they're coming from a place where they want people to be safe. And you know, guns are, admittedly, they're scary if you're not comfortable with them, because they are you know, a little mistake is permanent when you're dealing with a gun, when you're dealing with something that will fucking kill you if you misuse it, or will kill somebody else if you misuse it. They're inherently dangerous. They're weapons. All guns are weapons. They're not tools. They're not toys. No matter what anybody else wants to say about them, they're fucking weapons. And if you're not trained with them, and if you're not careful with them, and if you don't understand the permanence of discharging a firearm, they're scary, right? They're scary when they're in the hands of somebody who doesn't take them seriously. But I don't know. We don't teach gun safety in schools. I don't know why we don't teach gun safety in schools. It seems like something we should do. Guns are part of American culture. It's fucking in the Constitution. It's number 2. You get to say whatever the fuck you want, and you get to have whatever goddamn guns you want. It's right there. It's the second most important thing to the founding fathers. And we don't teach gun safety in school. I think that's a shame. I mean, people want to talk about forcing schools to teach religion or any, like, all these other things, right? We need to talk about gender ideology in schools. And this side's like, we need to talk about religion in schools. Why don't we just teach about gun safety in schools? Because that's part of our culture, no matter who you fucking are. If you're an American citizen, guns are part of your culture. And that's the goddamn truth. But that's all I got for you today. Let me know what you think. I don't know. I think that this whole thing is insane. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Gavin Newsom's going to run for president, and he's probably going to win, and that's going to suck. But whatever. Nothing I can do about it, right? But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you agree with this? Do you think that we need more gun control? If so, why? Like, did any of the stuff I said about gun control make sense? Did I articulate myself properly? I don't know that I did. I do these videos unscripted, and I kind of just talk, and I can't really tell if I'm making sense until I edit it. So I hope I made sense, and I hope that it made sense to everybody watching. But if it didn't, be sure to let me know. And if you have a different opinion, that's totally okay. If you do have a different opinion and you watched this far into the video, I appreciate it. You know, I'm open to spirited conversation about things that we disagree about. That's all I got for you today, though. So thanks for watching, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.